Part 59. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 581. Chapter 581 Only Children 6. No, you have to give up your idea of painting. Mom doesn't object to you taking painting as a hobby, but if you want to turn it into a career that you love, Mom will never agree. Lurong became more and more sad as she cried. This was the first time Tang Xingai saw Lurong crying so sadly, and his heart was in a mess. He really likes painting, and he really doesn't want to give up painting. Mommy, please don't force me. You actually think Mommy is forcing you? Lurong looked at Tang Xingai in disbelief. The sadness and shock on her face could not be expressed in words. Her vision went dark, and her body swayed and she almost fainted to the ground. Fortunately, even though Tang Xingai helped her live. Mom, are you okay? Tang Xingai was anxious and immediately helped his mother sit down on the edge of the bed. Ignore Mom, you don't even agree to Mom. Mom is so tired of living, she doesn't even have anyone to rely on. Lurong shed tears sadly, which made Tang Xingai feel heartbroken. He didn't want to do this either. But he really likes painting. He wants to be a famous painter in the future and travel around the world to paint the world in his eyes. If you enter the Tang Dynasty group, these will become utopias. Mom, I promise you. Tang Xingai finally compromised. Seeing his mother's sad look, he couldn't bear it. From today on, he is no longer alone. He has Luer, a child, and a mother to support. The painter's dream can only become a dream. Tang Xingai compromised. Lurong's smile became a little thicker, and a hint of calculation flashed in her eyes. She wanted this effect. If her son could enter the Tang dynasty and even replace Tang Faishan in the future, then her goal would be achieved. Before, she was still worried about how to let her son join the Tang dynasty group. With this opportunity, she was given a huge opportunity. Yang Yanliu, who was waiting, had a very uneasy expression on her face. Although everything seemed to be going in the right direction, she didn't know why, but she always had a bad feeling that things would not develop as she wanted. Especially Tang Xingai's mother. Are things really going so smoothly? She wasn't sure. She always had a bad feeling in her heart. Not long after, the elegant Lurong with a gentle smile came in. She was the only one when she arrived. After entering, she locked the door and sat down opposite Yang Yanliu like a high-ranking queen. When Yang Yanliu saw Lurong coming, he immediately stood up and shouted politely. "Aunt." Lurong sat down and looked at Yang Yanliu with a deep look. Humph! Lurong snorted coldly, looking at Yang Yanliu with eyes full of disdain. "Don't think that I don't know what you are thinking. Do you think you can really marry into the Tang family smoothly?" The smile on Yang Yanliu's face disappeared instantly. Sure enough, what she worried about happened. Our Tang family will only want the child in your belly. As for you, our Tang family will not accept you. Why? Yang Yanliu was puzzled. Didn't he just say he agreed to them? Are you worthy? The sarcasm in Lurong's eyes was not concealed at all and was conveyed directly to Yang Yanliu. You don't even look at your family background. Do you think your family background is worthy of my son? Middle class. That's nice to say. I have just investigated your family situation. Your father has been gambling since he was a child, and he owes you a lot of money. He has very little debt, and although he is the manager of a small company, he has no assets at all. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 582. Chapter 582 Only Children 7. Yang Yanliu took a deep breath. Unexpectedly, in less than half an hour, the Tang family had already investigated her family background in detail. The disgust in Lurong's eyes grew stronger and stronger as she continued to talk about what she had just learned. Your mother is just a waiter in a supermarket, and her income is even meager. And you also have younger brothers. With your background, marrying Zingai will only drag him down. Do you think that with your family background, you are worthy of being married to Zingai, can you, my son? Comparing with Yang Yanliu's family background, Qi Lili's family background is much better. After all, Qi Zhan is also a billionaire, and Qian Yuman and Qi Lili are also wealthy ladies. If they are too far behind their Tang family, they will be considered as having ulterior motives to get close to them, not to mention the Yang Yanliu family whose family is in debt. With her background, she could just give her a little money to get rid of her. If it wasn't for her son's future, she wouldn't even give them a chance. I know that compared with your Tang family, my family is poor. She has known the difference from the beginning. Recently, playing with Zingai everywhere, she has become more and more aware of their direct difference. It is not a little bit, but a gap that will never be crossed. A gap that cannot be overcome. It's good to know. Do you think it's so easy for someone like you to marry into the Tang family? What's more, your behavior in school makes me look down on you even more. Yang Yanliu froze all over and lowered his head sadly, not daring to look directly at Lu Rong. A person like you is very scheming. From the beginning, you just want to get close to my son. My son is still young and cannot see that you are a scheming woman. Mothers are not stupid. After all, they were once the same kind of people. Others couldn't see what she was thinking. Couldn't she still see that this little girl was young and rich? Then what do you want to do? Yang Yanliu raised her head. She now has Zingai's children, why should she be driven away? We only want children, and as for you, the Tang family will not accept you as a mother. A cruel smile appeared on Lu Rong's lips. Yang Yanliu looked at Lu Rong in disbelief. As long as the child doesn't want its mother, is she used as a production tool? Does Zingai know that you are doing this? He likes you very much and thinks you are the best mother in the world. Hypocrisy. I didn't expect Zingai's mother to be such a hypocritical woman. She could do one thing on the surface but another behind the scenes. You are not afraid that I will tell Zingai what you said to me? You can go ahead and say it, and see if Zingai will believe what you say. Lu Rong smiled confidently. Did she know less about her son than she did? Yang Yanliu knew that Lu Rong's confidence was not in vain, because when she was with Zingai, she heard him say more than once how kind, gentle and considerate her mother was. If you still want to live a happy life for a few years, you should keep your mouth shut. Lu Rong took out a check from the bag with the amount of 5 million written on it. Accept this check. As long as you accept this check, it will be equivalent to paying for your childbirth. 5 million is definitely a huge sum of money for your family. The prices of surrogate mothers outside are not that high. Lu Rong counted the check on the table and pushed it in front of Yang Yanliu, asking her to accept it. Yang Yanliu looked at the check on the table and wanted to stare through it. With a piece of 5 million, he actually wanted to buy her child, an unborn child. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 583. Chapter 583. Only children 8. Do you dislike it? You know what our Tang family is capable of. Not to mention the child in your belly, even the people in your family, we can make them completely disappear from this world without leaving a trace. If you don't accept this check, what will be the consequences for you? Lu Rong directly threatened. Don't be too easy when dealing with this little girl. No matter how scheming she is just a child, and a little girl with no background. They are much easier to deal with than Qian Yuman, not to mention the person she likes is her precious son. If she wants to marry her precious son, she has to choose a lady from thousands of people. She can help her son in his career in the future, instead of being a drag on her. Take it. If you don't accept it, you may face misery. There are many people who want to have children for my son. He is still young now. I don't care that even the child in your belly disappears. Children are nothing to her, even if they are her grandchildren. But so what? It would be nice to have a grandson again in the future. It does not mean that Yang Yanliu has to have children to make up for his mistakes. Yang Yanliu kept looking at the check. She was conflicted in her heart, very conflicted. But Lu Rong's threatening words kept flashing through her mind, telling herself that it was not so easy to get into a wealthy family, and not everyone could get in as a young lady from a wealthy family. The Sea of Stars. Yang Yanliu felt sad. Just like Lu Rong said, she was just a child no matter what. She knew how many things could be done and how many things she could think about. In a fight with Lu Rong, he might not even have 5 million in the end, and his family would suffer the consequences. Lu Rong waited patiently, with a very confident expression on her face, because she had already seen through Yang Yanliu's thoughts. Children, indeed children, are not frightened at all. Yang Yan and Lu Ming pursed their lips, reached out and picked up the check on the table, and put it away carefully. You are quite sensible, Lu Rong smiled, with a smile that was both sarcastic and ruthless. Don't worry, I won't let you leave Xingai for the time being. You must listen to me in everything from now on. Maybe one day I will show mercy and let you be Xingai's lover outside. After a while, I will arrange for you to get engaged to Xingai. You are still young, so I will tell Xingai to wait until you are 20 to register for marriage. Before that, you will not leave Xingai and raise your children well. When the time comes, you will leave him. And if you get rid of him, I will give you another sum of money and stay away from my son. Yang Yanliu nodded obediently, keeping her hand on the pocket where she kept the check. The money here was actually the money to buy her child. After accepting it, a deep sense of guilt emerged in my heart. As expected, she didn't just come into a wealthy family just because she wanted to. In the end, she became a tool for giving birth to children and a tool for Lu Rong. Suddenly, I felt very sad. However, this path was still chosen by her, and it was a path she had to choose. At least, I will be able to be with Xingai for a long time in the future. 4 years, only 4 years, maybe she should cherish this time. In these 4 years, the current situation may be changed, and maybe she may not leave. I hope that the road to the future will not be as bumpy as in her mind, and I hope that she can always stay with Xingai. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 584. Chapter 584 Only Children 9. Qian Yuman, who was originally anxious to go home, stayed behind because of Tang Xingai's incident. When Tang Xingai came out, he immediately pulled Tang Xingai and questioned him. You brat, when did you do something bad? I told you before, but you still couldn't control it. You actually made Yanliu's belly bigger. Tang Xingai smiled awkwardly, because he was happy to be able to be with Yang Yanliu, but also sad because he was forced to give up his dream of being a painter. Today, for the first time, he knew that there were gains and losses. To get one thing, you must exchange it for another thing. They were young and energetic, so they had to take responsibility for Lu'er because they did not take good measures at the beginning. If she is not pregnant, he can continue to pursue what he loves, and when he is of marriageable age, he can marry Lu'er. But it was because they didn't take good measures at the beginning that he allowed him to exchange their bright future at the price of a painter. He was actually still unwilling to give up what he loved most, but for Lu'er, he had no choice but to give up. Teacher Qian, it's too late for me to regret it now. What's wrong? Qian Yuman originally wanted to teach him a lesson, but seeing his sad look, she immediately put away her anger and asked with concern. Tang Xingai looked sad and sighed sadly. My mother said that if I want Lu'er to marry me, I must give up my favorite painting and join the Tang dynasty group in the future. Qian Yuman raised her eyebrows, but she didn't expect it to be like this. Now I know I regret it. As a people's teacher, Qian Yuman still couldn't help but start the education mode. Learn a lesson this time and don't make mistakes again in the future. At an age when you can't bear the consequences of your mistakes, don't make mistakes easily. Saying that you are responsible for Yanliu but you have to make sacrifices only shows that you are not old enough yet. You are too young to be responsible for your mistakes, let alone have the ability. You are lucky enough to have a rich family to support you. If you were just a child from an ordinary family, would you have asked Yanliu to abort you at the age of 16 and injure your health? Even if you have the financial means, look at Yanliu, she is only 16 years old. If she becomes pregnant in the future, she will inevitably be criticized by others. The so-called people's words are scary may not matter to you, but the pressure Yanliu will bear will not be small. She is only 16 years old and she is about to give birth to a child for you. Even I think it is a bit early to give birth at 21. At the age of 16, your body has not yet fully developed. Do you know how serious the mistake you made back then was? I'm glad that you have a responsible idea, but I still don't agree with your messy behavior in the first place. Remember a sentence, don't commit a crime easily when you can't bear the consequences of it, do you understand? I know Tang Xingai sighed deeply. What teacher Qian said was right, he really couldn't bear it. Even if he were a little older, when faced with the pressure from his mother, he would probably leave the Tang family with Lu'er, travel and paint around the world, and continue to pursue the life he wants without compromising. Just because he is young, he needs to compromise. Only by compromising can he be with Lu'er and be responsible for Lu'er. In the end, he sacrificed his favorite painting. I didn't think about rumors before, but now that I have come back to my senses, I realize that people's words are terrible. Yang Yanliu is the school beauty and the goddess of all the boys in the school. If they go to school after school starts and her belly becomes obvious, the school beauty will become a joke and the target of others pointing fingers behind her back. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 585. Chapter 585 Tang Kaofeng 1. Although they have taken a step now, they will face more things in the future. Lu'er is now 2 months pregnant. When school starts, she will be 3 months old. Her belly will get bigger soon after school starts, and she will inevitably face everyone's pointing fingers. School beauties and jokes are sometimes the same. Qian Yuman stretched out her hand and gently rubbed his head. Okay, don't worry about it anymore. Let Yanliu take a year off from school next semester. If you don't go to school, you won't hear the rumors. I have already seen Grandma picking a time for your engagement. You should be happy now. But I still want to paint, Tang Xingai said lonelily. It was really difficult for him to give up painting. He felt sad when he thought that he would not be able to become a painter in the future. Just think of this as a lesson. From now on, remember that 16 is not too young anymore. You must learn to grow up quickly and become a man. If you like painting, just treat it as a hobby. Who says that hobbies and careers can't be at the same time? It depends on how you handle it. Can I continue to be a painter? Tang Xingai was unsure. Maybe there is a miracle. Your painting ability is so good, maybe if you develop it as a hobby, you can become a world-famous artist. Qian Yuman could only comfort him this way. Painter, which famous painter can become famous without spending a lifetime and devoting himself wholeheartedly to it? When he has been in the adult world for a long time in the future and has seen more of the ugliness of the world, his ideas as an artist will change to some extent. She was really not sure whether she could achieve anything, so she could only comfort him in this way. Thank you, Teacher Qian. I will work hard in the future. Tang Xingai instantly ignited his fighting spirit. Even if there is only a slight possibility, he must learn to try. Maybe one day, he can really become a painter again. His life is still so long and everything is uncertain. The thing at hand now is how to take good care of Luer and her daughter. Having figured it out, Tang Xingai felt relieved and his mood improved. You haven't told me yet, when did you attack Yanliu? You pushed him down so quickly. Qian Yuman had a gossipy look on her face, and she approached Tang Xingai with a sly smile. It was a quiet night 2 months ago, and it was dark, a good time to do bad things. Tang Xingai was in a better mood and was in the mood to joke. You are so awesome, Qian Yuman gave a thumbs up. Children these days behave so wildly that even an adult like her can't catch up. 16 years old. When this child was in primary school, they were not even as old as Tangyuj is now. Tisk. When their children went to college, they were only 32 years old. Oh my god. I think that Mr. Tang is 32 years old and his child has just entered elementary school. How many young men and women are now still unmarried at the age of 32? By the time they are 32, their children will all be in college. It's a university. Fear. Because of Tang Xingai's affairs, the Tang family began to busy prepare for the engagement ceremony, and the date of selection was not far away. The Tang family received another invitation from the Tang dynasty family just 2 months after Tang Faishan's last engagement party. Everyone thought it was Tang Yuzhi's re-engagement, a wedding invitation from the eldest son of the Tang family. Everyone was a little surprised when they saw it was Tang Xingai. However, in the world of rich people, there are many people who get their children engaged to consolidate their careers, so it is not that strange. However, after seeing the woman's name, they were still surprised to know that she was the child of an ordinary family. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 586. Chapter 586 Tang Kaofeng 2. The world of the rich is sometimes very boring. He speculates more about Tang Xingai's affairs and is even more curious about Yang Yanliu's family background. It was a big deal for a woman to be engaged to a Tang dynasty family. Everyone was curious about her identity, and many various rumors began to spread in the upper-class society. There are busy preparations for Tang Xingai's engagement party, and Qian Yuman and Tang Yuj have officially moved out of the Tang family. On the first day she moved out, Qian Yuman was so high that she stayed up until midnight. She was finally free and could finally live a world of two people. With me not having to face Tang's father's stinky face in the Tang family, it's so beautiful. On the second day after moving in, Qian Yuman returned to her parents' home. Tang Yuj wanted to come, but she refused to let him come. No matter how shameless she was, Qian Yuman would not allow him to come. Because today, Qian Yuman wanted to ask about her mother. Knowing about the previous relationship between Tang's father and Qian's mother, she didn't tell anyone about it. This matter had been brewing in her heart for a long time. When Qian Yuman returned home, Qi's father knew that his daughter was back, so he asked his servants to prepare a lot of delicious food, all of which were her favorites. "Dad, where is Lili?" After dinner, I realized that Lili was not at home. She doesn't know what she's been busy with these days, and she never sees anyone. Father Qi smiled, put a piece of meat into Qian Yuman's bowl, and warned her. "Eat more. You haven't gained a few pounds. Your mother gained 40 pounds when she was pregnant with you." 40 pounds, that's a lot. Qian Yuman immediately imagined that her thin mother had a balloon-like figure. Her belly is already a little protruding now. Her belly at almost 3 months is like 3.5 months. It is more obvious because she is pregnant with twins, but her figure is still about the same as before. Yes. Your mother's belly at 3 months was as big as 4 months, and her belly at 4 months was as big as 6 months. Every day was like blowing up a balloon, Chi Zhan said with a smile, and put a piece of fish meat into Qian Yuman's bowl. 2. Yes, your mother was clearly born prematurely, but you were as heavy as a full-term baby, both of you weighing 3 kilograms. Among the twins, he is considered a giant baby. Father and daughter were chatting and laughing. Qian Yuman's eyes kept staring at her father, eating the delicious food specially prepared by her father in the end, recalling the new news she had just learned a few days ago in her mind. Do you want to ask Dad about Mom's past affairs? I don't know where your mother is now, or whether she's awake. Father Chi stopped eating, looked at the sumptuous dinner on the table, and sighed. Dad, don't be sad. Sooner or later, you and your mother will meet again, resolve the misunderstanding, and become a loving couple again, Qian Yuman encouraged her. She believed that her parents would reconcile. But there is still no news about your mother. Dad, I have something to ask you. It may be related to the disappearance of my mother. Finally, Qian Yuman asked. What's the matter? Qi's father looked lonely in his eyes. Hearing that there might be something about his ex-wife, he immediately became energetic. Qian Yuman smiled slightly, put down the bowls and chopsticks in her hands, and looked at her father seriously. You know, the result of my investigation in Berlin this time is that my mother was taken away by Mr. X, codenamed Mr. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 587. Chapter 587. Qian Mama has a person in her heart. 1. You know, the result of my investigation in Berlin this time is that my mother was taken away by a Mr. Matter. 23 years ago, Dad Chi shook his head. I don't know. Your mother rarely talks about past events. Qian Yuman's heart skipped a beat. There was indeed a problem. Then Dad knows if Mom has any good male friends? Qian Yuman asked tentatively again. Male friends? Dad Chi raised his head and thought hard, and then named a few male friends with whom he had a good relationship. I heard that none of the people Chi's father mentioned fit Tang Wentao, and Qian Yuman had met most of them. At most, he would give some gifts during holidays and rarely go out to play with them or his mother. As for my mother's friends before marriage, Chi's father had met very few of them. My father always thought that my mother had a cold personality, so she had fewer friends. After some questioning, Dad Chi guessed that his daughter wanted to start with her friends. Actually, after I learned that your mother was taken away by a male friend, I personally searched for the male friends who had been with your mother before, but I didn't get any results. I basically ruled out these people. Dad Chi put a lot of effort into finding Qian Xian'er, but he couldn't find any clues about Qian Xian'er. No one knows who Mr. Qian Yuman's mind quickly thought of Papa Tang. Mr. Dad, I once saw a photo of my mother and a man. The two of them have a very close relationship, and the photo was taken not long before you met. That's why I kept asking you. You have a better relationship with your mother. I suspect that the other party may be Mr. X. Finally, Qian Yuman told the story about the photo taken with Tang Wentao. Who is it? When is the time for the photo? Dad Chi became excited instantly. It was about 22 years ago, almost a year before I was born. I remember that my parents got married and had children half a year after they met. Judging from the time, it should be within the first few months of my parents' meeting. In what month? Qi Zhan's eyes turned slightly red and he became excited. About December in winter. Qian Yuman stared at her father and slowly told the time. Something was wrong with her father's mood. The time was indeed strange at that time. Qian Yuman was born in November, and the time shown in the photo was almost 11 months ago, almost the same few months when her parents first met. 1 month, Qi Zhan stood up suddenly, and the chairs behind him fell to the ground because of the excessive force in standing up. Qi Zhan shook his head slightly, frowned, and was a little too excited. Dad, what's wrong with you? Perhaps, That person is your mother's former lover. Dad Tang suddenly fell into his chair and slowly closed his eyes. What's going on? Dad, why are you so titrated? Qian Yuman's heart began to beat continuously. Why is Dad so sure? Actually, when I first got together with your mother, I knew that there was someone in her heart that she couldn't let go of. Dad Chi sighed deeply. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 588. Chapter 588. Qian Mama has a person in her heart too. There really is such a person. Qian Yuman's voice trembled slightly, and the doubt in her heart became a real feeling. Mom was once really a couple with Tang's father. I never heard you say that before. Qian Yuman took a deep breath. Papa Qi breathed a sigh of relief, feeling very entangled in his heart, but he finally revealed the secrets he had held in his heart for many years regarding his wife's whereabouts. Actually, your mother and I did get married after knowing each other for half a year, but you didn't get married after the marriage. We got together less than a month after we met, and the wedding took place half a year later, less than 3 months after the marriage. You were born prematurely in 2 months, and the reason for the premature birth is that I found that there was always someone in your mother's heart. At that time, I was always happy to be able to marry your mother. I was like an idiot in love and didn't notice anything wrong with your mother. It was such a joy to be with your mother at that time, so I didn't have any doubts about her past. Later, one time, I saw your mother crying in front of a photo in the middle of the night, and I realized that there was always someone in your mother's heart. Your mother later confessed to me that she chose to marry me because she was hurt in a previous relationship. She thinks that I am a good man and will be a good husband and father, but she only married me because she wanted to find a safe haven. At that time I was greatly stimulated and even quarreled with your mother. I even suspected that neither you nor Lily I were my father's children. After your mother knew what I was thinking, she had a big fight with me, so she had a fetal infection and gave birth early. After you were born, your mother and I had a tacit understanding not to mention the past. Therefore, I still don't know who the person in your mother's heart is, living such a happy life. If I had known that your mother might be taken away by the man she was in a previous relationship with, I should have inquired as to who her previous man was. Qi's father said sadly. Qian Yuman was very shocked when she heard her father talking about the past. My mother really had a relationship before, and that relationship was most likely with Tang Yu's father. Oh my God. Dad. You said you doubted that Lily and I are not your children. Qian Yuman accurately caught the key words in the long string of words that her father said. They even quarreled over this, which even caused her mother to premature birth. Dad Qi's face changed and he immediately explained anxiously. No, I was just thinking wildly. You are my children. Dad, has your father ever done a paternity test? Qian Yuman's breathing also slowed down. It wouldn't be so bloody. She didn't think much about it. According to what her father said, they had them not long after they got together, and they were born early. At 4 months, it looked like 6 months. Although it was explained that the belly was very big because of the twins, it was more likely that the mother was 5 or 6 months old at the time. It shouldn't be. Dad is happy to be a father? Qi's father's face darkened, and he frowned and looked at his daughter. That's just Dad's jealous and random thinking. He didn't do a paternity test because he firmly believed that you are my daughters. Stop thinking about it. I believe your mother will not be sorry for me. Yeah. Is it really just a random thought as Dad thinks? Qian Yuman lowered his head. Dad, do you know? Your own tone of voice is not that firm, so how can you convince her? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 589. Chapter 589 Jian Mama has a person in her heart 3. Especially, he chose to deliberately mislead her about their relationship and marriage. I'm afraid it was his father who did it intentionally. Perhaps, it is possible that she is not her father's child, but she must not be his father's child. Otherwise, wouldn't she and Tanyuj be? She got goosebumps just thinking about it. The plot in the TV series will never happen to her again. She and Mr. Tang already have babies. If a brother and sister have a baby, then... oh my god. Jian Yuman didn't know what to say for a moment, and her heart was in a mess. Daughter, if you don't believe it, we will go for a paternity test tomorrow. You have to believe that you are my father's daughter. Seeing his daughter's disbelief, Chi's father was a little anxious. Looking at his mouth, he said all the things he suspected back then. Although he had doubts from time to time over the years, he loved his 2 daughters very much, and he also loved his wife deeply. Even if they are not his daughters, he will treat them as daughters. Whether or not they do a paternity test does not mean anything to him. But seeing how sad his daughter was, he decided to take her for a checkup. The provincial daughter had been having random thoughts. Dad, you don't want to investigate Mom's matter for the time being. I'd better investigate it secretly. Am I overthinking it? Jian Yuman suddenly lost her appetite and put down her chopsticks. She is actually quite confused inside. Most of it is her thinking, and she also likes to think too much. But what if these are all true and not just random thoughts on her part? Instead, she hoped that she was just having random thoughts. It was said that pregnant women like to have random thoughts, and she was in this state now. Jian Yuman was in a mess. When she returned to the room, photos of her mother and Tang's father kept popping up in her mind. Dad is actually not sure whether she is his child. Now he can be sure that Mom had a lover before. As for whether that lover was Tang's dad, he is not sure yet, but the possibility is very high. Dad liked Mom back then, and Mom had a lover. The person I liked did not stay with the person I liked, and married my father in a hurry. Mr. X, as for Mr. Paternity testing. This must be done, not only to give her peace of mind, but more importantly, to give her father peace of mind. If the investigation results show that my mother's former lover was not Dad Tang, who liked my mother so much back then, will definitely know who my mother's former lover was. At least, we have a direction, which is better than having no clue at all. Jian Yuman plans to do a paternity test secretly. If the test results show that she is not her father's biological daughter, she also plans to hide it from her father. So I secretly took my father's hair, my own hair, and even went home to take Mr. Tang's hair. I plan to go to Tang's house later to get Tang's father's hair and do a paternity test with all 3 of them. She could only hope that she and Tanyuj would never be brothers and sisters. Such a plot. They already have children, and there is a high chance that a close relative will give birth to a freak. Jian Yuman secretly returned to the Tang family the next afternoon. The Tang family was very busy now. Lu Rong took Yang Yanliu to choose a dress, accompanied by Tang Xingai. Father Tang and Tang Feishan were both busy with work, and Grandma Tang went out to play for the first time and was away from home. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 590. Chapter 590 Information in the desk drawer 1. Jian Yuman secretly returned to the Tang family the next afternoon. The Tang family was very busy now. Lu Rong took Yang Yanliu to choose a dress, accompanied by Tang Xingai. Father Tang and Tang Feishan were busy with work, and Grandma Tang went out to play for the first time and was not at home. At home, only Tang Xinglu, who had twisted her waist, was resting at home. For Jian Yuman, it would be more suitable to go back secretly today. Back to the Tang family, there was really no one there, only servants coming and going. Tang Xinglu sprained her waist and was resting in the room and would not come out. Qian Yuman tiptoed back to her room cautiously, making sure that no one would come out, and sneaked into Father Tang's room. The room has been cleaned very well, and it is difficult to find even a hair. The comb was clean, and there wasn't a single hair on the bed. When Qian Yuman saw the clean and tidy room, for the first time she felt that the Tang family's servants had cleaned it too clean and took too much care. She actually asked her to pick up one. There is no hair in the paternity test. The baby is so angry. Qian Yuman searched around, lay on the ground and looked under the bed. He put his hand over and found that there was no dust at all under the bed. "Why are you cleaning so cleanly?" Qian Yuman asked the sky speechlessly. After checking around and finding that there was no hair, Qian Yuman gave up. It seemed that she could only pull it out from Dad Tang's head. This seems to be a bit difficult. Qian Yuman came out of Father Tang's room with some disappointment. When she came out, she looked around to make sure no one saw her coming out of Father Tang's room, and then sneaked into Father Tang's study. The study room is a good place for investigation. Perhaps you can find things about your mother in the study room. Moreover, this study room belongs to Tang's father alone, and few people are allowed to enter. Qian Yuman sneaked in just to find information. This time I managed to sneak in smoothly without being discovered by anyone. In the huge study room, Qian Yuman started from the desk. The computer had a password and could not be viewed at all. The drawer is also locked and cannot be opened. There are some graffiti on the table, but there are no important clues. After searching around, I didn't find any clues on the table. Qian Yuman began to rummage through the cabinets to see if there was any possibility of hair falling out. After checking around, there was no dust either. The Tang family's servants are very diligent in cleaning, so I praise them very much. Unable to find it, Qian Yuman started looking through the bookcase. Although there are not as many books in the bookcase as Tang Yu's, they are not many at all. They are arranged neatly and it is very time-consuming to find them. Having only found a tenth of it, Qian Yuman's hands were weary and he looked at a cabinet of bookshelves and sighed. I think there won't be any clues. Just when Qian Yuman gave up looking for information, his eyes caught sight of a book in the middle of a row of bookshelves, as if it contained a key. Qian Yuman immediately reached out and took the key in his hand, and looked at it carefully. It was a golden key. The shape of the key looked like a bookcase key. Could it be the desk key? Qian Yuman's beautiful eyes lit up. She immediately turned around and ran to the desk. She inserted the key into the desk drawer and it turned with a slight twist. I can open it, my God. I'm so awesome. Qian Yuman couldn't help but feel narcissistic. She did not expect to be so lucky, with such bright eyes, that she would find a key hidden in such a secret place in the bookcase. End of this chapter.